Welcome to our podcast, Juice Taekwondo. And today's episode, we have Sarina Kapai. She's a former student, and let's see, I think she's a third degree black belt. Is that correct?
hmm
It is. Okay, she's a third degree
Yeah.
black belt. It's been a while. And maybe we can get a little background when you started, your journey through Taekwondo, and go from there. So, when did you start in Taekwondo? I know you might have been a little ninja student, if I'm not
I think
mistaken.
so. I think I was like 4 or 5.
Yeah, so then you'd been probably in our little ninja program. Maybe your sister was for sure, since our youngest age
Yeah.
is 5. We do have that little ninja
hmm
class, but it's a 3 to 5, and mostly running around. Anyway,
Yeah. Tiring them
so
out.
you, so tell us a little bit, refresh my memory about your journey in
Yeah,
Taekwondo.
sure. So yeah, I started when I was 4 and 5, somewhere in that range. I think my cousin had been in the studio first, and then we joined because of them. Um, and
Who's
I
your
feel like
cousin?
it was Rohan.
Rohan. We have so many Rohan,
They
sorry.
moved. I know. They moved out of Pleasanton. Like a few years after that, so they weren't here that long. But
Okay.
and I think I did a lot of sports growing up. I did swimming and basketball, but Taekwondo was kind of the year-round sport that was very consistent, and I think it was a really good structure for me. Um, I told you this over email, but like looking at the work ethic that I have today, I feel like I really got that from Taekwondo. Um, just like the having like such a regular schedule and the ability to see and grow up with like the same kids and compete together. I think I got a lot of really good life skills from that. Um, and I think I became a black belt around 11. And then at that point, I think that was the time when I was old enough to really compete nationally and internationally. And I remember like attending more and going to more tournaments, and I was getting more involved. And I would say like from late middle school to end of high school is when I was doing more of like worlds competitions and training with the team. And it became like a full-time sport, which was really fun. And I think it was like my first experience traveling and meeting people from other countries. I had never had that before. Basketball and swimming were always very local and regional, but I got to see many different parts of the world and meet people from all over the US and other countries. So that was really fun. And then by the end of high school, I like graduated to third degree, and that's when I went off to college. So it's been some time since I've trained actively. I did try a few Taekwondo clubs in college, but they were quite different from, your studio, and I think I was a bit spoiled. So I didn't
Spoiled.
really spoiled in the sense of like, I think a lot of the other studios were very focused on competing and they didn't have the same emphasis on like I don't know the five tenets and just the culture around Taekwondo. It was just for I think a different age group. And it just felt a little odd to not have the other components in a dojo. Not to say that it was bad or anything. Also, the gear was really stinky. They did not clean it very well.
So when you say different and culture wise, you mean so I'm guessing it was probably like on campus kind of a
Yep.
program, and they did a lot of competition. So it became more of an activity versus
Yeah,
maybe a lifestyle per se. Maybe
definitely.
talking about what it takes to be a a good human being, I guess.
Yeah, and I think
Um,
that's the part I always liked about your studio and growing up in it. When I went off to college, it definitely was presented as like a sport instead of like a way of life or a community. And that's perfectly fine. it just was different from what I was used to. Yeah, I mean, I think WTF ends up there's quite a lot of different clubs that tend towards WTF style. So the sparring style was also different. We like barely used our hand, which was really weird, for me at least. And sparring was always something I needed to work on, and I felt like joining a club that would not allow me to work on the things I already knew I needed to work on was maybe not like the best call. I think, yeah, but it was a good experience. It was interesting to see how it differed from, your studio. And I think it made me appreciate the studio culture even more because I saw how much it can differ.
Did you attend like world championships? I think you did.
I went to
Which one did you go
Canada,
to?
Ottawa.
Canada?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I competed in patterns there. That was my first one, and I got bronze, I believe. And then I attended Rome, and I competed in sparring and patterns. I didn't medal, but yeah, those were my two world championships. And then by that time, I was off to college.
Tell me, what's your journey been like since you've been in college? What did you study in college, and what are you doing now?
Okay, so I went off to college. I went to USC for undergrad. I studied electrical engineering. I think I, at that time, didn't really know what I wanted to do. And my dad's an electrical engineer, and I think he really hyped it up a lot. And I think I definitely tried a lot of different things in college. But I think, especially in high school, there were so many different subjects I liked. It was hard to really figure out what direction to go. Um, and at the time, I thought picking a major was that was enough. And the more I got into school, the more it was like, okay, you have to narrow down even more and even more. And there was just so many different options. But by the end of college, I think I realized I liked a bit of math and uh, kind of working on imaging systems. So things like medical imaging or radar systems, that kind of work. And then I went to Stanford for my master's in the same area, and I got more into radar imaging. So basically, from a satellite in space, if you take pictures of the Earth, what can you do with that information? So some projects were like, how do you detect soil moisture from space? And can you
Oh,
track
wow.
climate change? Yeah. Um, Other projects were like, I mean, there's definitely a lot of defense work in radar. I was always very motivated more by the climate change aspect. But I just thought the math was really cool, and I've always really liked images and pictures. So it was really cool to see like the behind the scenes of how we get those, I don't know, weather maps or um, information about soil moisture. Uh, so that was like my master's. It was very focused on like, you know, geology, kind of using instruments to image the earth and get some information. Um, there was some projects about if you stick like like in Antarctica, most of Antarctica, even though it's like this really big landmass, if all the ice were to melt, most of the landmass is actually underwater. And so that's why people are also really worried about ice caps melting because the sea level is going to go up a lot. So some of our work was just, can we really figure out where the landmass is underneath this ice? And to do that, you need radar to kind of penetrate all of that. So
Oh.
that was one of the things I worked on. Um, and yeah,
So
at the
did you,
end, oh yeah.
did you get your degree in your undergrad as electrical engineer?
Yeah, all my degrees have been pretty in the same major, but I would say the research focus has shifted a lot.
Oh,
Um,
I see.
because it's a very
And so
broad field.
your master's degree was also in electrical engineering
Yeah, and
with a
it's
focus on radar or what you're talking about, imaging.
yeah, Yeah, it's
technology.
such a broad field. It's like computer science. I think Catherine, your daughter, majored in business/computer science.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's like you can go anywhere with that. And I didn't realize that about electrical engineering, but it's pretty similar in that way.
Okay. And you're working on your PhD?
Yeah. So after my master's, my nanny, my grandmother passed away from cancer, and I always was really interested in like the medical field, but I think that that was like a big motivation for me to kind of pivot in my focus in my field and decide like I don't really want to work on radar systems as much. It's cool, but I think if I could work more on medical imaging, it would feel more rewarding to me. And so I went back to USC for my PhD, and now I work on MRI. So people usually know MRI is like that big donut, and you get brain scans. But our lab uses MRI for pretty much everything. Like we image, we do fetal imaging, like if a pregnant mom goes in for an ultrasound, but there's a poor window, you can't really see the baby, they get referred to get an MRI so you can actually see what's going on. We do dynamic imaging. So if you want to see if the heart is contracting properly and there's no leaky valves, we can take a video basically of the heart in real time beating. Um, we do imaging of like the mouth area. So if you want to, if someone, for example, has tongue cancer and you have to have part of your tongue taken out, you have to relearn how to speak. And sometimes it's really helpful for someone to be able to watch, kind of see inside their mouth anatomically and see how their tongue is placed. And the speech therapist can look at that and be like, okay, move your tongue here to say this word. Um,
Oh,
so there's
wow.
so many different, yeah, uses. And I think our lab is really interested in using the scanner in a lot of new innovative ways. Um, and I've always been really happy that I made that transition to more medicine. I feel like we've gotten to meet some really, really cool doctors, and patients too. I remember scanning like a 6-year-old, and we do a lot of our own data collection too. So it's been a really, really amazing experience. And I think what's next for me is hopefully finding a job that kind of is translational. I've really liked being able to talk to engineers and doctors and find the best way to make everybody's goals happen. And I think that translational work, it reminds me a lot of tutoring and in Taekwondo of how do you bridge the gap and how do you speak everybody else's language to make sure um, we all get to where we want to be. Um, So yeah, that's kind of been my trajectory. All of my degrees are in the same subject, but we've bounced around a lot, I would say.
Well, that's very cool. Now, I also know you are doing you do some tutoring as well. I think you started that back in what, during COVID? Is that right?
Mhm. Yeah, so back in 2020, there was I think a Pleasanton-based tutoring company. And so I worked with them for a while doing like remote tutoring. I think COVID was definitely a time where teachers were doing the best that they could, but it was a huge transition to go fully remote. It was really hard to
Right.
learn. Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty
Now,
of
were
this
you in
myself.
school already?
Yeah, I
Were you
was
in school?
in my master's
College,
at
I
the
should say.
time.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
I
was
was,
tough for us. Taekwondo's a physical, kind of a contact sport.
yeah,
So,
that must have
well,
been crazy hard.
it was, yeah, we did some classes out of through Zoom, and then when they kind of loosened it up, distancing and all that. So the classes were very limited, or you remember our classes are kind of busy and full, and
Yeah.
now you only had like maybe 10. Usually we would have what, 25, 30.
At
in
least,
class.
yeah.
And so you're still doing your tutoring. You decided to keep it going?
Yeah, so basically, yeah, COVID started. I started working for this company, and then I think about a year in or so, they closed down. And I basically had all these students, and kind of they had a catalog of students who had signed up for help. So I just kind of continued the last 5, 6 years working with these kids and you know, every once in a while we would get some more kids like a sibling or a cousin. And so me and my sister have basically continued this remote tutoring throughout my master's and PhD and her undergrad and postgrad. So it's been
And what
a
is
really,
Annika doing?
oh, so
What is she studying?
I might need to ask her about her exact major, but I think she did like applied math and computer science in undergrad. She also went to USC, and now she's a cybersecurity associate at one of the big four consulting firms. Both of us kind of went more towards the STEM field, but we've always really liked a lot of different subjects. And so I think that really helps us when we work with our students, because sometimes I would say most times people come and they're like, I want help with math or with physics, but then it kind of turns into whatever they need help on, like whatever subjects they want support in. And because Annika and I went to these high schools, we went to Amador and Foothill, and we know some of the teachers and we're familiar with the environment. We're able to kind of fill in the gaps, basically.
Now, Annika, was she a third degree as well?
Yeah,
You
she
should
is.
you guys should come back and work out with us.
We should, yeah.
Was there any time that you think that obviously you said that Taekwondo helped you. Obviously, Taekwondo has helped in your development, but is there anything specific that you can say that yeah, how Taekwondo has really affected your life?
Oh, that's such a good question, and I feel like I have so many answers to that. Um, I think like the first one, the easiest one would just be the importance of exercise and like feeling secure in your ability to defend yourself. Like that's number one. I remember before I went off to college, I got all of my high school friends together and I gave them a self-defense lesson because I was really
That's cool.
worried. And some of them took it seriously, some of them didn't, but I knock on wood. Hope I don't think any of them have had like to use it. But I think like training your tools and knowing that you would know how to defend yourself if you need to, that's kind of number one. I have spent so many years in LA, and where USC is not like a gray area. And so just knowing that I had the training was really reassuring to me. And again, for self-defense, like, nothing is guaranteed, but just knowing that I had some training really gave me some more confidence and I think gave my mom some peace of mind too. I would also say, like, more indirectly, Taekwondo was the first time that my sister and I both taught. Like we would teach classes sometimes or help out, or we would referee tournaments or coach. I always loved coaching kids at like sparring tournaments, or patterns. And I think Taekwondo was the first environment where we were exposed to just so many different kids and personalities and that really helps me in tutoring because every kid is different and everybody has their own language. And I don't know, like if I'm explaining to a kid how to adjust their form for patterns, it's important to understand like why they might be doing the movement that way or why they feel like that's right. And I find myself using those same skills in tutoring, even in my work too, where engineers are very math focused and sometimes get really into the weeds on things. And doctors are thinking much more holistically of like, how can this help patients? And being able to speak to both groups in their own language is very important. And I feel like I definitely got that from Taekwondo.
Was there any time in your journey through Taekwondo, in your Taekwondo journey, that you felt like you want to stop?
Maybe it would be before I reached black belt. I think maybe
Like a
when I
blue
was,
belt?
yeah, blue belt or a green belt. I always like the
Yeah.
color green, so maybe it was like blue belt, sometimes around there. Uh, I think once I hit black belt, I got really motivated because I saw all the competitions and I felt closer to like the class that I went through Taekwondo with. And I think I started Taekwondo so young, so when I was like 8, 9, 10. I don't think I really understood all of the benefits of training. But once I got to like 11, 12, it started clicking a bit more.
Did your mom and dad have to make you go to Taekwondo?
I think that the running joke in our family was that if you want to quit, you have to go to Master Ju and tell him yourself. And I was too scared.
Too scared.
I think I was a very shy kid. And I think, you kind of raise all the kids in the studio this way. And my parents raised us too, to not quit things that you start and to persevere. And so it just felt wrong. And I also, had met a lot of friends through the studio um, but I think it was more just that I really needed to find my place and my people in the studio. And that happened once I hit like black stripe, black belt.
If you would like to give some advice to a new student in Taekwondo, what would you tell them?
I guess that would depend on their age. If I'm talking to someone who is starting kind of when I did, like 4 to 5, I would say that Taekwondo is more than just a sport. So if it feels like a sport sometimes and like you enjoy it that way, that's great. But don't compare it to swimming, basketball, soccer. It's just going to be different. And it's a good type of different. It gives you a lot of discipline and it's really centering, I feel like. For someone who's older, who might understand more the benefits of self-defense and I think I would take that approach of like it's important to know how to defend yourself. Yeah, I think that would be the advice I would have for them.
I don't want to make it too long, but any other topic you want to chat on?
I guess most of I was thinking about this earlier because I feel like in my line of work, in my job, and in my tutoring service and in my PhD, like AI keeps coming up a lot, like it's changing everything. And I know your business is very much, I mean, you mentioned that with COVID changing things. It's very much about physical contact, being in the same room. But do you see AI shifting things in the landscape of Taekwondo or in your service?
Well, do you think a robot could replace me?
No, I think you have job security.
Are you sure? I don't know. These robots can do a lot of, you can program to do a lot of things, right? Humans are not really, I can't remember everything. So a computer might be a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe AI could
Train a
replace
model and have it
that.
run.
Exactly. Yeah. You could just do it on the screen, right?
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that would work?
I think this is where I can get very disillusioned about AI, but when it comes to teaching, because I've thought a lot about this of like what will teaching look like in the future because AI is so good at all this. I think that there's always going to be a need for in-person teachers because I don't think AI is only as good as the person who prompts it. If you know exactly what you want it to do, it can do that great. But it's the ability to know what to ask for and what to get from it that's important. And I think that's a innately human skill. So like when you're working with students, I don't think an AI model would be able to like really understand why that student is confused about that movement or be able to speak to them in a way that they would understand. You would be the one figuring that out. You could ask a model to then make a personalized video for this kid explaining why that movement is wrong and how to correct it, but you're the one directing that. And I think maybe teachers our jobs are going to shift more towards being directors, but I don't think we're ever going to be obsolete.
Until it becomes aware, like in the Terminator.
Yeah, and then we all die.
Maybe. But I think humans, even like myself, I don't know.
Mhm.
You might say something that you might think is interesting or funny, just but then another kid might go, "Well, that was stupid," or so. I guess having to be able to read that's something that, yeah, maybe I don't know, but not right now. Maybe not in my lifetime. But maybe down the road, who knows? But it is moving fast.
It
So
is,
yeah,
yeah.
very cool. Is that something that you notice as well as in your current studies, how that's affecting?
Yeah, definitely like in my PhD program. I mean, AI can be really useful for a variety of things. Um, and so it's definitely helping uh, with if you have a bunch of images of someone's lungs, being able to detect out potential spots for cancer a lot earlier so you can get someone into treatment, which really improves outcomes. There's a lot of great uses for AI. I think the part of me that gets more concerned is when I see my students using it, and I'm not a fundamentalist. Like I understand AI is here to stay, and I'm not upset if my kids are using ChatGPT, but it's more about how are they using it and why. I want them to use it as a tool instead of a crutch. Something I've thought a lot about is how is all of this AI and ChatGPT stuff exposing a lot of the ways school doesn't serve everybody. And a lot of kids are just using it to get by, which I understand.
Yeah,
I,
if I could take a magic pill that
yeah,
would
kind
teach
of.
me
Yeah.
how to do what I wanted to do. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting, from a Taekwondo standpoint. It can analyze stuff and it could tell you,
Hmm.
oh, well, you could do this, like maybe sparring.
Hmm.
If you posted a video, what could that a person do better to stop that person from pummeling them or whatever?
Or
And maybe
recognize
it could,
patterns. Yeah.
right. It could maybe recommend that. So, but that also depends. That's like computers in general, or if you were an electrical engineer, obviously, whatever you put into it is what it understands. And that's the
Mhm.
outcome is going to be based on what you put into it, right? And
Yeah.
so AI is also the same. It's got to learn. The more information you can put into it, it can make a better decision, I guess. So maybe down the road, it could help people. Maybe you could make a robot that could teach class. And
I wouldn't want to be in that class.
you wouldn't want to be in that class, even if it looked real.
Yeah. I always liked, I think every week or so you would have a different kind of speech or theme that you would talk about, and I always liked the different uh topics that you would go through. I don't know if a robot could do that.
So that's interesting you said that. I never really thought, did I talk a lot?
No, I think
No, but I always had a theme. You're saying
I
some kind
think
of motivational, or you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. Very
it
opinionated
was
kind of
not
a
very
person.
preachy, but it was,
Very
I
preachy.
think, no, it wasn't preachy, but I remember you used that study done about the three basketball teams, and one was allowed to practice, one was allowed to just plan, and one was not allowed to plan at all. And you
Right.
talked about how they performed, and I think those kinds of things like really stuck with me. And they would shift like every week. You would kind of have a different focus, and it was really cool to see the things you were thinking about. And it was almost like a little mental homework assignment for us because it gave us something to think about for a period of time. Yeah, I don't think a robot would have the taste to do that.
I don't think I've actually shared that basketball scenario.
Oh, really?
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Can you explain that? You
I
ever
guess,
share that with anybody?
yeah, I actually have. I think I've used it in a tutoring session before.
Yeah, and how did you present that? Just out of curiosity.
I probably quoted it verbatim from how you said it, but I think I brought it up in the context of because a lot of kids, I think, can have test anxiety. And I think I brought it up in the context of you do what you can to prepare for something and then you do your best in the moment. Making a test in like the actual scenario a bunch of times, that's kind of best case option, but we can't do that all the time. So practicing and planning beforehand, even if it's not a perfect simulation of the actual game, will still go a long way. And I think I just use it as to highlight the different ways you can prepare for something and what might be more effective or less effective. Yeah, but it's definitely something I'm trying to remember which student I brought it up with, but I definitely quoted that.
So did you use that how did you say it exactly? That there was a study of
Yeah, I think
done
I said there
with
was like a study done of three different basketball teams, and they had one group scrimmage and practice different plays. They had another group just talk about the plays that they would make, but they were not allowed to train on court. And then there was a third group that just hung out. They didn't talk or practice basketball at all. And then they put all these teams against each other and saw what happened. And the teams that had physical playing time and just time to plan off court, those were much more evenly matched than maybe we would have anticipated. And the third team was, they lost
they
pretty clear.
lost.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so
So
just like
yeah,
highlighting the importance of preparing and how there's different ways to prepare for something and they can complement each other.
exactly. Well, thanks for reminding me that I'm going to do that in class someday. Soon again.
Perfect.
Anyway, it was great catching up with you. And let's do it again if you're in town. Yeah, absolutely. Let's have come over and work out with us. We'd love to have you there, and you can share your
Yeah,
experience and encourage other people. How's that sound?
that would be great. Thank you so much, Master Joe. It's great talking with you.
Thanks for jumping in.